This next guest is in the Compas Hall of Fame. He does it all. Play-by-play voice for Fox Deportes and the Chargers. He's covered everything from the Super Bowl to championship fights. Many Laker fans know him as well as his time as the voice of those Lakers. But most importantly, he's a San Diego native, my hood. I'm talking about the great Adrian Garcia-Marquez. Adrian, how are you? And two important questions.
Yes.
Is the California burrito the GOAT of all burritos? And are the Padres winning it all this year? That's all I got to ask you.
Hey, that's a heck of a start. First and foremost, Compas, gracias. Thank you for the invite. I've been looking forward to this opportunity. I know we've been talking back and forth and trying to get squared up. I've been wanting to join you guys. Hey, man, no, but I've been wanting to work with you guys and just, shoot the breeze, como quien dice. But yes, the Padres will win it all this year. I have a feeling. I don't want to do that, though. See, that's the thing. Can I throw this out there? No, there we go. See, for those of us that have truly suffered, truly suffered with the Padres, the Chargers. The only team that never made me suffer was the San Diego Sockers. One for the thumb, baby. They got it done all the time.
I saw that billboard on the back of a bus that said, we actually win championships in San Diego.
That was it. And that was the only team, man. So with the Padres, it's been a long time coming because even the 98 Padres, that was lightning in a bottle. That was a heck of a team, but a lot of things had to go right. And then Scott Brosius ruined absolutely everything, right? And during the World Series. But I think that with the Padres right now, this current edition, looking at Fernando Tatis, just looking at the soul, man, seeing what's back there. Same thing with Manny Machado. And you go up and down that roster, they have the Ojo del Tigre. They're having fun, but those are guys that get it done when you need to get it done. And Tingler has them playing baseball. They're stealing bags. Hey, if catchers want to get lazy and work on their weird-ass framing, go ahead. Jump on it. And then we're going to take second. We're going to take third. Little base knock from Hosmer. Boom, there's 2 runs coming in. Yeah. And that's been the mojo. I don't recognize these Padres. But, again, I don't want to go into the predictions because I've also seen Padre fans, the new ones, especially, I consider them the new ones.
The new ones.
The new ones. They're the ones that are doing things on TikTok and flipping off Dodger fans like, slow your roll. We haven't won nothing yet. Padres haven't won absolutely anything yet.
Have you seen that music video guy? The one that, does music videos and he, starts talking crap about Dodger fans, and he's like, we own this city. He does rap videos.
I've seen all that stuff, man. I've seen all that stuff. And I used to be the one guy to argue that if you really go into Dodger Stadium and the lower places Dodger Stadium, you'll see a plaque owned and operated by the San Diego Padres. When the Padres used to go to Dodger Stadium, they go to Cerro Azul and dominate. And it all there was a time where it would happen from 96. I'll never forget this. The Padres go into Dodger Stadium. They end up sweeping the Dodgers to get into that playoff position there at the very, very end. And that last series, it was Chris Gwynn knocked in a crazy double that made it all happen. But right before that, Ken Caminiti had gotten an RBI broken bat single. When Cammy got that broken bat single, he had the bat handle, right? So it was the sharp end. And he was holding it as he was trolling around first base. And as he trotted the corner, he, without even looking, like a mountain man, like a true Ken Caminiti legend that he was, he just lets it go and bah! You see it like a knife. It just dug right off the first base side, foul territory, right on the Dodgers' back, almost like saying, boom, we own this house from now on. And it went on for a good 10 years. I know I went through at the beginning of the career. And then when I was at Telemundo and I'd go back and check the stats, I'd always dip into the stats because that's phenomenal what they do over there. And I'd see some crazy stats like that. And I saw the Padres were winning more games at Dodger Stadium than the Dodgers were in head-to-head. But then you flip it, Dodgers would go to SD and turn it into South Los Angeles. So it was a whole different kind of vibe. But again, it was always about trying to get the best of the Dodgers, understanding that the Dodgers were a superior organization from top to bottom. And here we are. Things are evening out a little bit, but first things first. Mijos, first things first. Let's win the division. Let's get the Padres flowing, winning baseball. Get the culture will be around. Apparently, it'll be around for a while. Fernando Tatis, as well as Manny Machado, they both talked about it. We wanted to stay here long term because we want to develop this culture in this beautiful, awesome city with great fans that have been wanting this for so long. So I think it's looking good. But let's slow our roll. Let's not make music videos yet and flip off Dodger fans on the way up. Just disfrútalo. Act like you've been there a little bit. Just a little bit more. Bájenle 2 rayitas.
I like that, Adrian. Slow your roll. It's still early. We're in July. And I got to ask you, Fernando and Adrian, what is it with you San Diego guys? I know your history. Fernando's giving me Chargers history from the 1980s, and you're taking me back to Tony Gwynn in 1980.
We're well versed.
What's going on, San Diego?
Hey, brother, we have to – I don't know. Fernando, I think I was the same way as you. We probably just dipped into the San Diego Union Tribune every single day, every morning, reading Canepa and everybody else that would write
Trotter.
up everybody. Trotter. I mean, we had some excellent still. San Diego has excellent sports writers, and we always got great stories, the way that they broke it down. For me, it was Al Bundy had it right, guys, in Married with Children. la oficina. You know, once I got in there, once I started having kids, I got married. Like that was the secret haven. You know, like my oficina. Going to the throne, I grabbed the San Diego Union Tribune. Hey, I'll be out in a little while, and that's where I would read up on my sports, get all caught up, and that's where I even made that demo, man, so I can get a broadcasting career going inside of my little office, so I could get that surround sound echo.
Let me give it to you like this, Gilbert. On Mondays after Charger games, you know Nick Canepa was going to have his grades.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, when he would roast them, when they would play like I remember they played I'll give you real quick. They played the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football. Ryan Matthews is the running back. The Chargers get off to a 24 to 3 start. They're up 21-3. And they blow the lead, and the Houston Texans come back and beat them. Canepa just goes F, like F's all around. And then he put coaching Z-, and it was Mike McCoy's first game as the head coach.
Hey, man.
You put like Z- or whatever.
He always was the meter for us.
Yeah.
He kept it real. He never sugarcoated, and when guys deserved the praise, he was the first one to give it up.
Oh yeah.
It was that's why I enjoyed it. And you know what, man? We grew up there with Hacksaw. You know, I don't know what the deal is. Like in the
best
end,
15 minutes.
But man, we all grew up on Hacksaw.
Yeah.
I was mopping floors with my dad. He used to clean the Manchester Clinic right there in Hillcrest, and I would bump. Right, I would go from Hacksaw to Vin Scully. And yes, I know I'm a Padre guy, but I love Vin Scully. I love listening to Dodger games because I like listening to Vin Scully. So I'd pop it up on the surround sound there in the office. You know how they usually play smooth jazz, 98.7. Nah, man, I'd switch the smooth jazz, and that's when the doctor knew that I was there that night, because the next morning he'd turn on his radio and it'd be on Extra Sports, you know, or on some, you know, at Hacksaw, something in the morning, from Bulldog to Hacksaw all the way up. Our boy Ernie Martinez, I'd be listening to all those guys.
Martinez.
Yeah, man, I was playing their ball at San Diego City, and we'd be bumping Jim Rome when Jim Rome was in Jim Rome yet, man. In the middle of the night, Jim Rome into daytime lunch, Jim Rome, before the clones really started taking over. So we had a great run.
Scott and BR in the mornings.
Billy Ray, baby.
You know what's funny? So when I first got my license in high school, I would show up to school. Everybody would be bumping Kanye. They'd be bumping this, that. I was the only one that was bumping sports radio talk. That's how I would show up to school. And like my brother would be like, dude, this is going to put me to sleep. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, but I really I got to listen. I got to pay attention. I got to know what's going on. And I was just interested in it. And it was a love that you didn't know you could turn into a job. And finally, when I ended up doing that, I'm like, oh my, I was starstruck. I couldn't believe that I was doing this kind of stuff, especially because you never think, oh, sports are going to obviously they pay off if you're an athlete, but you never know it could pay off as a career for guys that aren't athletes. And yeah, it's been incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, for me growing up, man, that was the deal. My dad told me, ser realista, be realistic. I mean, being a broadcaster, because he already knew that the dream was already Joaquito trying to become a pro baseball player. And then on top of that, you know, QB style, like, oh yeah, but Dad, there was Doug Flutie. I'm 5'9", 5'10", pero si pudo el Flutie, yo también. No. Bájale dos rayitas. We're back to reality. And then you start to realize, like, all right, cool. You know, maybe the sports, you know, you're going to get to a certain limit. For me, baseball was probably the one that took me the first, but that's where I saw my limitations when I was sitting there at San Diego City, you know, trying to see if I was going to start a catcher. David Gonzalez, Adrian's older brother, he played with me. Like, we all just got along great. We all played good ball, but there's a point there where you realize, like, all right, I'm 20, going on 21. I'm still not gone. I've talked to scouts and all these things, but you focus on just the sport. So then that's where you start to kind of graduate in your mind. Like, all right, what could be next? For me, it was coaching. I thought I love history, right? So I thought I could be a good teacher, just sit there, be the easy A teacher, and then just, you know, coach baseball, and then, you know, be the OC or be the QB coach or something, and then just chill. That was the master plan. But then when you start to see that the industry is there and there's an opportunity there, and if you're talking like me, man, I was always getting in trouble for talking in my school from all my report cards. Adrian talks. He's a good kid, but he talks to me. He's a good. My sixth grade teacher even put on my last report card, see you on TV, mijo. Like, she was predicting I talked too much. I was going to end up on TV. Awesome. So it was just one of those things where you saw it, you know, in the end, you saw the opportunity. And I always tell kids when I get the chance, I know our guy Beto Duran does this a lot. He goes back to schools and talks to students. I try to do that sometimes when I get the opportunity. And when I do, it's just to let them know, guys, it's possible. It's about getting there. It doesn't matter if it's San Diego City or Harvard or Syracuse, Yale, Northwestern. Once you get there, if you have the ability to talk and you work hard and you inform yourself and you have the information, you know how to express your thoughts, hey, it's all going to be even. It's getting there, and then the hard part is staying there. But once you get in there, you're gonna fight against all the same dogs. At the end of the day, it's about getting there. And I think that we all see that at some point there's an opportunity to create a career that maybe we didn't think was going to be there.
Adrian, let me be your hype man because I got to give out your resume. You've covered everything from Super Bowls to the World Series, championship fights to big soccer tournaments. That we couldn't even get you on the show, man, like you said, because you're doing the MLB All-Star game. You were covering all the crazy soccer tournaments this summer. I guess at one point did you realize that you're this versatile guy that could cover sports in 2 different languages. You're the voice of the Chargers as well. But at one point did you realize you're good at this? I know. Because you're a good talker, you're a good talker. But at what point did you feel like you could turn this into a career? And where did you realize that I don't want to stick to this sport and this sport? Where did you kind of figure out you want to do a little bit of everything?
Well, it's just kind of like where the wind blows. In a lot of ways, that's what kind of led me down this path. Having played 3 sports, that was always passion since I was a little kid. It started with soccer, and then I discovered baseball. When I discovered baseball, I put soccer on the back burner for a couple of years because I wanted to focus on baseball. That was like around 12 to 13, but football was always in the mix and wanted to be a QB, little flag football QB. I always had my little mullet, the whole thing. And I wore even number 7. There's you'll see there's the Elway. Elway was my guy. And my Chargers, they were my Chargers. But Elway was my favorite QB football player of all time. Him and Bo Jackson, go figure, a Raider, right? Also. But the thing is that for me, having played those sports, I felt like it was natural for me to talk about them at some point. And when I saw the opportunity, I know it started when in 6th grade, Jack White, may he rest in peace. He was a longtime anchor at Channel 10 there at KGTV in San Diego. And he went to my school when I was in 6th grade. He went to talk to the students. That's why I think it's important to be able to talk to students, because you never know who you're going to reach and what year, what grade, who the kid is. And he happened to reach out to me without even realizing it at the time. And Jack White, at the time that he was there, he was the main anchor. So our teacher invited him. He talks to us. We had news on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Shout out to Mrs. Cheryl. That was brilliant what she did, because it kept us reading on top of history, current events. So it helped a lot as far as, also you lose stage fright. So you're able to speak publicly in front of your classroom. There's so many things that we learned there. But I was trying to go next level. My mom would sometimes fix, clothes and whatnot. She'd be doing like seamstress stuff, whatever. So sometimes she would have like little foam balls and things, whatever. So I used a couple of those palitos, the ones that look like popsicle sticks. And I knew Jack White was coming, so I wanted to impress him. And I was a little sports anchor guy. So what I did was I grabbed one of those little foam things. I grabbed the palito, and then I grabbed the San Diego Union Tribune. I remember it was Ozzie Smith, and the headline said Wizardry after he had punked the Dodgers, right? So it was that. I cut it out, put it on construction paper, and I made my own CG, man, my over the shoulder. So while I was talking about Ozzie Smith and whatever, I had the over the shoulder. And Jack White was like, wait, did you spend all night doing that? I'm like, yep, because I'm going to be a sports anchor. And he goes, really? He goes, yeah, one day I'm going to be the first Mexican kid on Sports Center, or I'm going to be on Saturday Night, but after I play for the Padres center field, because I want to play next to Tony Gwynn after I play quarterback for the Chargers. Not until then, I'm going to do this. Little tira shit 6th grader, man, talking crap like that. And I think that's the moment I realized, like, maybe in the back of my head, I stuck that idea in there. And then reality hit. You get to 8th grade and you end up in O class every day. You start to see reality, like, dude, you're kind of a messed up kid that doesn't really get along with teachers or whatever. So you start seeing the future starts to dwindle a little bit. And you start thinking, you know what? I'm just going to have to get a regular job just like my guys. I know that there's a lot of influences outside. I know that there in San Diego, we because of the proximity with the border, so there are other temptations to join certain crews of certain types of things that are in, illegal activities. It's all around us, like every school. So all of that, I think at the end of the day, was sports that saved me, having played sports, football, soccer, baseball, and then obviously having that little gusanito, that little semillita that I had planted long ago, that I want to be a broadcaster maybe, and we'll see how it happens. And lo and behold, destiny would kind of open it up. And as things started to flow, I know at Telemundo, that's where you start to become more versatile because you're covering more sports. So I started off, the Oakland A's were the first team to give me an opportunity. I'm in Oakland in 2000. Alvaro Martin hears me calling baseball there. Him and Howard Bryan, they have a conversation. Next thing you know, I'm getting a phone call, or I'm getting a phone number to call somebody in Bristol. So then I'm at ESPN. Now I'm doing the Red Sox, doing ESPN. And all this has just happened within a year and a half, from going from Imperial Beach, California, to Boston, to Connecticut, to Miami, back to LA and Telemundo. So it was during that time that I had to become ultra versatile. And after the Twin Towers went down, extra versatile. And this is what I learned. And I give a lot of credit to ESPN. It is the you, man, because you learn so much. You learn amongst the best. And there you're expected to hit the ground running. And I was thrown into stuff like Amazing Games, the Guinness Book of World Records, like World's Strongest Man competitions. Or I'd be doing some weird sports like Ulama, the old school Aztec Maya kind of ball court sports. So you become more well-rounded, and that's what opened up, like, man, I want to learn more about this stuff and this. So just in case, you're prepared so that when the opportunity does come, and this is what I try to tell kids all the time, man, run a truck through that little window. If it's a little tiny window that opens up in the kitchen somewhere, you run an Optimus Prime size truck through that window, because you never know where you're going to get the chance, but be prepared. In other words, read, prepárate, estudia, be ready, because you just never know. And things will expand for you. And I've been very, very fortunate on that, man.
The fact that Gilbert doesn't have stats and doesn't have stats in his head like us tells me no está preparado mucho, pero we forgive him. We still love him. But Adrian, I'm going to shock you. Speaking of Gilbert right now,
A ver.
can you believe that Gilbert doesn't like soccer? So I'm gonna exclude him out of this next question.
You believe it?
He's different. I apologize on behalf of him. But what were your biggest takeaways from the Euros and Copa America?
Well, first and foremost, you know what? I'm with Gilbert on this, man. There's a lot of heads that just, and I think it's part of, we talked about Jim Rome. You know, Jim Rome, for those people that are the clones that would follow, they would always talk crap about soccer. So it created a culture to kind of not love soccer. Okay. And we get it, especially in this country, man. There was only MLS in our generation, or my generation, and then you guys coming right after. There wasn't much to look up to when it came to club soccer. Major League Soccer was just on the horizon. If you're an athlete, right, and you play 2 or 3 sports, and you're good at 2 or 3 sports, and you have opportunities in 2 or 3 sports, you kind of want to look for which one is going to give you schooling and payday, or the best opportunity to do that.
Basketball.
And baseball, football, basketball give you that. Soccer wasn't really giving you that. That's changed. And I think now the culture, like my kids are in their early 20s, and having them now, just seeing how they operate now, kids are like 90 minutes. That's why I love LAFC, they say, or that's why they love Galaxy, or they watch the Euros. It's a 90-minute investment. And my takeaway is Copa America. I love it. And it's just, I love the passion. There's no one's ever going to take that away from it. And yes, you can't compare it to the Euros. You can't. It's the quality. It's different. It's just different. But I think the biggest takeaway is that, man, when you have heart, the way Italia, and you combine that heart, skill, ganas, huevos, world against us, let's go all the way back to how they suffered as a country throughout the pandemic. We all did. But they were one of the hardest hit first countries, and it was just, and their players, you saw even Zlatan and guys were stepping up, giving up millions of dollars. It just kind of felt like it was a redemption for them as just a country, and just, it felt beautiful, man. And that's what soccer's about. That's what I think, that's why it is the beautiful game for a lot of different reasons. We can compare it to baseball, we can compare it to football, and talk about World Cup being bigger hype, or the Super Bowl versus that. Let's enjoy all of them. Just like the same thing that Kobe and LeBron would always argue. Kobe would always say, why can't you just enjoy us both? Why can't we just enjoy MJ and talk about MJ and talk about LeBron and talk about Kobe, and not have to always try to compare them? Like, look what's happening with Giannis. The kid's just fresh off of a championship. Now they're trying to, all right, so who is he going to be like?
Better than Shaq?
Is he better than Shaq? Is he better than Kobe? Is he por favor, bájenle 20 rayas ahí. Like, easy now. Let's just enjoy it. So I think the biggest takeaway is that it's 2 separate types of tournaments, but both signal the passion that exists for football on planet Earth. And I think it's growing even more now in the United States, because I'm seeing it working, doing the games on FS1, doing Liga MX, and then, having done Olympic qualifiers, guys, like I see the traffic, I see the people, I see the connection more than anything else, more than ever. I see the connection from a whole new generation of sports fans that might not be as connected to baseball anymore, might not be as connected to football, maybe not even as connected to NBA anymore, but they're getting ultra connected to football. And that's my greatest takeaway. I think in this summer of soccer, I think it just reignited the passion for a lot of people that love football all across Earth from all the tournaments that we've gotten. But more than anything else, I think it's also brought in a whole new group of fans. And I think it's a beautiful thing when sports do that. And I think that hug, see, you didn't get that in the Euros as much and as beautiful as that was. You didn't get the hug that you got from Messi and Neymar for Copa America. And that's what sports are all about, man. And that's what I take from this summer of football.
Adrian, with the Gold Cup going on, I know that the U.S. didn't send Pulisic. They didn't send some of these guys. Some of those guys are resting up because they have a big seasons coming up in the EPL. Mexico didn't send all their guys either. I mean, they sent some, but when you look at the rivalry between the U.S. and Mexico, do you feel like the U.S. has kind of started to catch up now on Mexico, and they're starting to kind of get on their back heels a little bit?
I think it just speaks volumes as to what the United States has been able to accomplish. Just look at the roster from top to bottom. I mean, all these kids, Euro talents, they have to leave the United States and go develop in Europe under some, EPL club or, Spain. It doesn't matter. Same thing with Mexico. The quality of the Mexican soccer player, I mean, you'll find Chicharito in a lot of different places. Just a matter of that's what the players are saying. Like, why bring guys that are 27 to 30 something years old from South America and populate rosters in Liga MX, and you're blocking the possibility of another young player coming up and getting more minutes and getting more shine, and then boom, making that bounce to Europe. Here, I think what we're seeing with the United States is that they have a good formula working right now as far as the development of talent, and now that talent is rostering up like what we saw in Nations. And that was the best example as to where these teams are at right now, because it was almost it was a given. It was understood that the teams were going to compete full squad at Nations and then take not the summer off, but take a little break, Copa Oro, let other guys get evaluated to see how they're going to strengthen the rosters come September, October, November, December, and all the way through March with the qualifiers for the World Cup. So I think we're at a perfect time. Godzilla versus King Kong, and it's going to get even better. And I think that game, that little espinita, because the teams know, okay, whatever happens, Copa Oro, that's one thing. That's the B squads. Okay. But what's fresh in the memory of a lot of the Mexican players that we know for a fact is they feel that game they should have won back in Denver. And USA right now has the bragging rights. They have the bell, So let's see what happens moving forward. But it's great for football in the region. I'm a fan of the idea of combining Liga MX and Major League Soccer, National League, American League style, and just do it where you have cross-pollination from time to time, tournament here, tournament there, but you don't really see each other until, boom, championship time. And I don't know. I just would like to see a Superliga in North America, NASL. Again, we're back to the San Diego Sockers, baby. That's how it all started. Hugo Sanchez playing for my Sockers.
Adrian, it's kind of funny that you bring up Jim Rome for why I don't like soccer that much. And I'll say this. I like soccer when it comes to the nations. I like the pride of your country and, rooting for Mexico and also United States to an extent. But I don't like the leagues, okay? I don't want to wake up earlier for the European leagues and all that. That's not for me. But it's funny that you mentioned Jim Rome, Adrian, because I loved Jim Rome as a kid. I love the smack off talks, the phone calls, the voices. I used to watch him on ESPN, the Jim Rome show. So I guess that's my tie to San Diego, I guess, watching Jim Rome. And, now that I remember, I think the first World Series that I can remember as a kid was 1998, Yankees and the Padres. Sorry for the Padres, and they got swept that year. But that was the first
that was strike three on Tino Martinez, by the way.
Yeah,
that was strike three on Tino Martinez. T. Gwynn had gone yard. Bonnie had gone yard. The Padres were looking primed to punk the Yanks game one. And then after that, all hell broke loose. Scott Brocious took over, and it was done. Dude, I love New York, guys. And not that I'm trying to do the New York accent. I like messing around, just doing things like that. But at the same time, I feel like if I wasn't San Diego, I would be New York, man. Like, I've had the opportunity. I never left California growing up, other than to go to Tijuana and Rosarito, the typical stuff that a San Diego kid, border kid does, right? Exactly. You leave to Vegas for a baseball tournament or something, maybe Arizona. That's as far as I went, as far as radius. So then once I started traveling for work, man, it was like a kid in a candy store, man. It's like I won the ticket for Willy Wonka, brother. I was like walking around the cities, and New York was always one that just captured, even when I had no money. And at that time, I was doing NFL films for HBO. I was doing some voiceovers. This was back in 2000, 2001. And I was just a new guy, just dropping tracks or whatever. And I had the privilege of doing NFL films in Espanol. So, and some of those things are still up there. So I'm super proud of that, man. It's like you grow up watching NFL films and John Facenda. And now here I get a chance to do Los Chargers de San Diego, and get to talk like that. Like, hell yeah, dude. But what they didn't know is like I had $3-4 in my pocket. Another newborn baby. I was on a crazy ass budget, but I didn't want to say no. So I jump on the train from Connecticut, go to New York, and then I would just kind of sit out. And I'd go to the New York City Library, and I'd just sit there for 2-3 hours, just read and pluck out a book. I don't know, on the road of something. I would just pluck out a book out of nowhere, and then just start reading, and it just became a thing where I would just start hanging out. El cafecito antes de que el cafecito se hiciera cool. All these little things that you start doing, that you start feeling like, I love the vibe of this city. I love how people behave, in a typical day in New York. Y yo muy chingón. I thought I was Adrian de New York, muy caballota. O sea, no, but it just, New York, I connected with, and I always go to Strawberry Fields. I always go give my love and peace to John Lennon and his memory. I always will sit there on a bench and write something, because something always creative energy is always flowing in that area, and it's el fantasmita de John Lennon, man. And it's still there and present, and it's a nice presence, and that's why I love. There's a lot of things that I love about New York.
Adrian, I feel like you have stories for days. We could have you on the show for another hour. We want.
I know, man. I talk too much. You guys got to slow me down. Like, hey, reel me in, man.
I'm loving the movie references. I don't know if Gilbert's understanding some of these, but I love the movie references. I love the Marty McFly. I love all that stuff. So I love it. Willy Wonka.
That's kind of like where it's this weird transition phase. It's funny that you brought it up because it's something that's been on my mind kind of rolling. But as a broadcaster, and having been an 80s kid, because I was born in 73. So you calculated, I'm getting closer to 50, right? But that said, I also grew up in that era where I got the best of the 70s, the best of the 80s, the best of the 90s. And with my kids, I lived through what's considered some of the best stuff of the new millennium. You know what I'm saying? From the Disney Channel stuff. Hey, I'm all read up on Teletubbies, man. You want to talk about Caillou? You want to talk about all those little things that come out? You know what I'm saying? And Arthur, I could get into Arthur and DW, man. I can go off Dora la Exploradora. O sea, brothers, I can go into different avenues. So then as a broadcaster, especially during my time at Lakers, I think that's one of the things that we had the most fun with, was just being ourselves on the air. I know that's why on Chargers, I feel that great connection with my brother Pancho Pinto. Francisco Pinto and I with the Lakers, it was just, we hit the ground running since we were at Univision back in the day, and we would do World Cup shows, and it was just like untrained. It was just, you kind of just flow, like it's like in music. You have a guy that plays the bass, the other one sings, or the other one, let's look at it this way. One sings, the other one's the guitarist, but they both kind of just mesh together perfectly, and the music's always going to be there without even trying. And that's how it is with Pancho Pinto. And I think that him and I, with the Lakers, we kept it real. We had to put lipstick on a pig. Those were the 6 worst seasons in the history of Lakers. The 6 worst. And in fact, Stu Lance, who happens to be a big-time Charger fan, one of the only ones left along with me, okay, during that time that everybody jumped off the Chargers because they left to L.A., Stu Lance and I were the last 2 guys left, man, as a matter of fact. I just want to bring that up, that Stu Lance is a hardcore Charger. But you kind of just get the sense that he says that because of those losing seasons, it's worth 30 of Lakers years, So anything, no Lakers fan can ever say you guys aren't Lakers, even the day that you guys leave, because of those 6 years you guys put in. And because of that, and we knew it was tough with Robert Sacre. What are you going to say about Robert Sacre, brother? Like, he's a good dude. He gave it his energy, but he was part of that crew where Chris Kamen's laying down on the bench there in Cleveland. Like, it was just a lot of weird stuff happening at the time. But on the air,
Nick Young doing
hey, that's Swaggy 3, Papa. Swaggy 3 is siempre. Rico Swaggy was always on point, at least for the entertainment. But that was it, and Pancho and I back to the entertainment. So we had to find a way to connect with the audience. So a lot of times there were pop culture references. LA is Hollywood. LA Lakers are Hollywood. So you kind of like, if somebody was there, from Star Wars, and she was sitting there, like Daisy Ridley, she would go to Laker games, and then, mira, está Daisy Ridley. And I start talking, then I'd just sneak in Star Wars references. And there was a lot of group, like, what the hell is he talking about? Who's Han Solo? Like, whoa, what?
Whoa.
You talking about who? But you would see it. And then that's when it hit me like, whoa, wait a minute now. I better slow my roll in my references, because I'm going to age myself a lot quicker than I realized, because there's going to be kids that aren't going to get a Han Solo Chewbacca reference. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's where we're at. So it's kind of like, it's not that we think about what pop culture references are going to pop up, because that's how my mind works, man. It's like, it kicks in, I plug into the game, and then sometimes I don't even know what stupid crap I said that night. And sometimes it just, that's how it goes. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of that is the connection with the entertainment industry, the movies, the music, and then you mix in the cross culture. Sometimes I'm going to mention El Buki. Sometimes I'm going to mention Don Chente, and somebody's going to, who the hell is Buki? Like, hey, ni modo. If you get it, you get it. And that's where he's going to fly. And that's how we do it. That's how we do it with Chargers now.
That's what happens on here, huh, Gilbert?
Hey, there's some things you don't know either, Fernando. It's kind of things you don't know the pop culture over here, man.
Well, Adrian, let me tell you,
Han Solo. That's crazy to me.
Those people failed their parents failed them if they don't know who Han Solo and Chewbacca are.
Yeah, and I think 9 out of 10 will know.
Yeah.
But then if you start getting a little bit like,
break it
the
down.
Warriors, like, okay, let's go deeper. The movie The Warriors, and I brought up like Warriors, come on, and then I know like, where's that from? I'm like, a ver, espérame. You have not seen The Warriors? And then I said, take a step back. Okay, they have not seen The Warriors. It's not really, it's a cult classic for us. just like the five deadly venoms. You can ask somebody, hey, you have not seen the five deadly venoms. ¿Qué te pasa? O sea, all these little things, but you understand, you know what I mean? Because there's going to be stuff that they'll ask me. You have not seen, that Zac Efron movie? I'm like, no, I haven't. But I'll watch it. If you're telling me it's going to be badass, I guess I'll watch it. But hey, trade-off. You got to watch Chevy Chase Vacation, not that new one. And it's just I do it. I guess I get Jedi training from my kids as to what to actually connect with and what to stay away from. Because I won't make Hannah Montana references. That I'll guarantee you.
Just for the Chargers listeners watching this video, this podcast, this is the energy you get from Adrian, la voz of los Chargers with Pancho, Francisco Pinto. And tell us about that a little bit. How's that going? I think it's been a year for you guys. You had to cover it during the pandemic, 2020. Yeah. But I'm guessing this is the energy you bring on that broadcast with Francisco, one of your close friends from the Chargers. I mean, the Laker days and now Chargers together. How's that been going for you? And I think when I talked to you about that, you said that was a dream come true for you, being a hometown guy, a Charger fan, to now get to be the voice of the Chargers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then, I got the opportunity to work with Jorge Villanueva about 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, back in 2008. I was able to go back. I do the Charger preseason games for NBC Telemundo there in San Diego back in 06, 07, but never was the connection like this. It was always kind of like third-party connection, and I happened to be part of the Charger broadcast, and then the radio station itself was its own entity, and then that's when you had, Jorge Villanueva running those types of things, and I was just the pregame show guy and the postgame show guy, and back then, I remember I loved the challenge. They said, all we have is this sponsor, and it's an Escondido Market type sponsor, but if you can get us more stuff, more power to you, and then we'll see how we end up divvying up at the end. So I took that challenge and I said, okay, cool. So I like to produce. That there's the one secret thing there's two things that, to me, I think that I like to do is a secret passion. Making sandwiches, like I'm pretty good with anything because I got kicked out of my house at 18. So that means that I've been a master of the bologna sandwich for a long, long time, and I can just work it out in a lot of different ways. And that right there, hey, by the way, guys, just if you ever need recipe de bologna, cuando quieran. All right. In fact, just real quick, have you guys had bologna fried with melted mozzarella and jalapeno inside in tubitos, and then toasted the bun and then squeeze it together? Así, para que salga así.
I've had that combination, but not the way you're describing. Like I had it before.
See, for all those broke ass kids that were like, guys, I lived off the 99-cent Jumbo Jack, thank goodness. All those things, But the bologna sandwich, man, te conviertes en artista de la bologna. And the other thing that I'm passionate about is creating stuff, producing. Like I feel like I have more of a heart of a producer than I do as somebody that talks on the air. And that part of that challenge was precisely that. Like, okay, dude, if you can do something with this, maybe we could sell it. So then I started to go more, because we grew up right there in San Diego, more Americanized ideas, production, the Westwood ones, and for all the way from the NBCs, ABC, CBS, and you get that broadcast quality. So I was trying to kind of put all that together, and we did. Next thing you know, Budweiser, so I shouldn't be dropping sponsors here, but Elements would jumping in there, and bigger name broadcasts, or name brands started to jump into the broadcast, which I always felt very, very proud of. And then things just dissolved out of nowhere. They dissolved, and there was a point after that where I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to go work at Barnes & Noble. I actually applied at a Barnes & Noble because things in this business is very, very difficult at times, and sometimes you're here and you're enjoying it and you're doing well, and then all of a sudden you're out of the picture for a year or 2 years, or you're scrambling doing lawyer commercials or whatever. I've done all that stuff, so I've been humbled many, many times by this business. So in the end, you always learn a new craft, or you try to stay on point by learning something else. I've learned to be a board op, to producing, to being the tech on the road that connects all the stuff for you so we can get on air. I've learned all that stuff along the years, and especially because of that, you want to produce at the same time you have a passion for production. And in my case, that's what I think I've been able to do. Is with Pancho, we were able to now take that next level with the belief that the Chargers have deposited in us for this season in 2020. And they were very, very cool. The Chargers were very much like, okay, guys, look, we want to change. We want to do something a little bit different. But right now in the middle of the pandemic, in basically, let's put it this way, we can't babysit anything. So we're really going to rely on you guys to catch lightning in a bottle, do the best you can, given the circumstances, and we'll see where we're at, after a few weeks, halfway through the season. And I was very proud, so was Pancho, that they didn't have to do anything. It was just like, how are the guys in Spanish doing? Live look, boom. Everything sounded on point. We did our own music. We did our own production. We did our own pregame, our own halftime, our own post. And then the radio station would just put the elements together for us on the air. But everything else, it was Pancho, Pinto, and I. And it was a crazy, crazy 2020. It was a great learning experience being connected. I know I would see you guys rarely by the elevators. From time to time, we all didn't really see each other. We'd all be there. And the only time I think you guys would probably hear me is that when out of nowhere, they would put our voices on the SoFi PA. Now, dude, that was crazy. I was like,
you know what?
Man.
We actually can't even hear, Gilbert. You can't even hear the stadium, like when they announce touchdown, because of the glass. You can barely even hear. But I would hear, because I mean, sometimes I listen to like radio stuff and I'll do other stuff. But yeah, no, you guys honestly brought a lot of electricity to the call in Spanish, and honestly, you guys have done a lot of really good work in just 1 year, like you said.
No, and I appreciate that. And that was the challenge, you know, back to that experience the first time around with the Chargers and the Spanos family. I always sense that our audience, the Hispanic audience, is very important to them. I think they've delegated it in the past to the point where maybe they weren't getting what they were hoping from the other side. And that tends to happen. There's nothing wrong with the radio stations that have had the broadcast rights before. It's just that it's not that easy. If most of the cultures, if the guys that run the system, if you will, are more soccer-minded guys that have broadcasting expertise in music and entertainment. And then if there's anything as far as a sport, it'll be boxing or you know, baseball, soccer, maybe NFL. Then you don't have somebody at the top that knows how to run an NFL type system, or how do you sell to an NFL audience. That's where I think I've taken the pride. Pancho and I both, through all the years that we've accumulated through Channel 34 Univision and 52 with Telemundo, my experiences, his experiences combined with what we did at Lakers, and now we bring all that together at Chargers. We were able to create something self-sufficient where we didn't have to be babysat by anybody, and it was a high-quality product. That's at least what our goal was always, you know, from day one, is to present a high-quality, the best-sounding Spanish language broadcast across the NFL. And our next step, as we've tried to take it going into this season, and be more international. So we've connected with people in Jalisco that have their radio shows out there. In Mexico City, I know, you know, the NFL girls in Mexico are there's a Charger contingent, so I'm gonna be talking to them next week. So we try to make it more internacional, you know, at the same time, just the connections, because people want NFL. And right now, gracias al Príncipe Azul, Justin Herbert, they want Chargers, and we're gonna give it to them.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, honestly, it's been so refreshing having you on, Adrian. It's been a lot of fun. I just have one last quick question for you. You didn't answer this at the beginning, but the California burrito. Tell how Gilbert how good it is.
Okay, so there. I knew it. That's and this is, you know what? This is great, right? Like the good movie directors. That's how they'll start off. They'll give you some random thing, like the thing that takes out the warthog in Apocalypto, and then you use it at the end to get to the guys that are chasing them down. So we're back to the burrito. All right. So let me start off by saying, and I know I like to talk a lot, but I got to tell you the story. So Billy Beane, when I get to the Oakland A's, my very first year in Major League Baseball, Billy Beane from San Diego. Okay. We get introduced in spring training. Hey, this is Adrian. He's going to be the new voice of Los A's en Español. Oh yeah. Where are you from? I go, San Diego. Okay. So this is going to tell me everything about you. What's the best burrito in all of the United States? And I told him, and can I say the name of the place or no?
You go ahead.
Okay. Roberto's in Cholo Vista. Se acabó. That's it. H and Broadway. And he just goes like this. Boom. Knows exactly. That was the standard. Lolitas came in and started and Lolitas was always there. Lolitas was always like, you know, biting at the heels of Roberto's taco shop right there in Cholo Vista. Always Lolitas right there on L. But it just wasn't happening. It was just like, I still would always give the edge. Then one day, somewhere in like early 2000s, Lolitas now jumped over. And then that's when they brought in Next Level and they started creating the California burrito, where before that on the menus, it was more experimental. Hey, ponle papitas a mi burrito. And then you would go to Tecate, the same thing. Like my wife's from Tecate, so I'd go there. There's some great food, great pan dulce, by the way. If you guys want the best pan dulce you ever had, it's in Tecate, Baja California. And if you can, just drive south, get into the Valle de Guadalupe while you're at it and enjoy. But man, let me tell you, that California burrito there was absolute money, because now those guys take it next level. Salsita, homemade, molcajete sal. Now you're taking that California burrito to the next level. Then you started to see now 3 or 4 different something Bertos taco shops opening up the California burrito, to the point where now they've cheated the California burrito. Now they're starting to stick rice and beans. We had this conversation on Twitter not too long ago, Gilbert. We were talking. I think it was you that posted about the burrito, and I said, and both of you guys, and I said, guys, no rice, no beans, and none of that weird guacamole salsa. It has to be real guac. So the California burrito, in its original upgraded essence, is the best possible burrito you can enjoy or have, because it's the perfect fusion of carne asada fries and a burrito con todo. Boom.
That's how we have to. That's how we have to end it, Gilbert.
I gotta try this original California burrito from Roberto's. You never told me about this.
Lolitas, bro.
Oh, so
Lolitas jumped up.
Lolitas is right down the street.
All right, next time I'm there,
porque estamos como estamos because of Lolitas.
Hey, papito, me too, man. I have buen diente too. Hey, by the way, you guys got lucky. You guys got to taste all that stuff that's gonna be at SoFi. Like, what was up with that submarine burger? You guys got to. Like, there's going to be all I want, though. And I was trying to tell, a couple of people there at Chargers. I'm like, what we need to do literally is get like a sponsor, a cheese sponsor. There's a couple of companies that are right there in City of Industry. I don't want to say their name, but it's a big time cheese company. Why not have some Heriberto? In other words, some Príncipe Azul brisket quesadillas. Have them just combine the recipe. It's Justin Herbert's El Príncipe's recipe. Quesadillas with his own recipe on like brisket quesadillas, like con salsita fresca. Oh, look, I'm mouthwatering, ready to go.
Wow.
What's up? That's a good marketing, man.
Marketing sure right there.
Chargers need you for marketing. That's what they need you for.
Hey, man, I'm here. And again, guys, I think, and this is great, and this is exactly what I think people should know, that at Chargers, we're building a familia. We all get along good. We don't know each other. Like, we haven't really been able to connect all that much, yet it feels like we've all known each other for a long, long time. And that's magic, man. We felt that at Lakers on the plane. I got to tell you that was a magical feeling, and it's too bad that the business, that's how it is. Things happen, stations end or whatever, but there was a magical feeling on that plane, La Banda, we're from Stu Lance to Billy Mack to John Ireland, all these guys, Mike Trudell, Pancho, our producers, we all connected. We were a familia back there, even with Michael Thompson and his crazy thoughts and ideas from the back of the plane. But we loved everybody, man. And I think that's what the Chargers, I feel that as part of the culture is that I'm starting to see that also developing. And I'm looking forward to the futuro, guys, and to be part of it with you and to cover the Chargers in a season that's pivotal, huge, something we're not used to. And we haven't seen a quarterback slinging that football since good old Dan Fouts like that. So almost. Let's roll.